Hello, my name is Faisal Khan. I'm a banking and a payment consultant. I want to talk about a topic which is not talked much in the payments world, although there have been some efforts in it, and that is about money and payments and interoperability of payments. The world we live in today, money is moved around generally very good. Chances are if you're near and you're making payments to friends and family, money moves easily. The problem inherently comes as you become more distant. There are some obviously near level problems as well, but as you become more distant, the movement of money becomes slightly difficult. In this day and age of 24/7 communication, everyone is literally pretty much near to you. I mean, sure, your friend may be thousands of miles away, your family may be thousands of miles away, but you can talk to them, you can send them a text, you can send them a voice, or you can even do video on it. But when it comes to money, you can't do that. So let's talk about money in the same way we talk about data. When we talk about money, the proximity of people or other payment systems is supposedly supposed to be very close, oblivious to you, but it is not. Let me amplify this with an analogy. In the olden days, there used to be all these various disparate email systems. Think about circa 1975 onwards and so forth. There used to be an email system for universities, FidoNet, BitNet. There used to be commercial systems like CompuServe and GE, etc. And all these ecosystems operated independently. So if you were a user on CompuServe, sending an email from one user to the other was pretty simple. Sending an email from one FidoNet user to the other FidoNet user or BitNet, etc. was pretty easy. It became a challenge when you had to send email from one ecosystem into the other. Why was it a challenge? Well, think of it this way, that each ecosystem was its own version of an operating system or an engine. One was a petrol engine, one was a diesel engine, one was an electric engine, one was a gas engine. So there wasn't a way that you could take petrol and put it in a diesel, or take diesel and put it in an electric vehicle. What sort of confusion that would cause and what sort of mayhem that would be. So in order for a GE user to send an email to a CompuServe user, there had to be certain rules, and gateways were then made, and the emails were transposed, etc., so that the other ecosystem or the other forest could read the email. These gateways were getting out of control. They had to be very specialized, took a long time to make them, connect them, get the approvals, etc. And as one ecosystem was doing improvements on their own email system, the gateway then had to cease, and then it had to update itself so that the crossover of messages into other ecosystems could happen. That all changed. In about 1982, RFC, Request for Comments 821, came out. Now, you may not know about this thing, but this is the first time the Simple Mail Transport Protocol was made, SMTP, the infamous or the famous @ symbol in your email. What it did was it harmonized everything. It was one homogeneous solution to all these complex problems and these complex ecosystems. Now there was a single methodology, format, protocol, standard, whatever you want to call it, so that all the email traversing on these disparate networks was guided and guarded in many ways by a single protocol. It literally took more than a decade for everyone to catch up on this thing. Even though it was invented in 1982, it wasn't until the early and mid-90s that the @ symbol started appearing in your and my life. Today, we don't even think about it. Today, sending an email from one person to the other is synonymous with easy access. We just do it. The same thing happened with the cell phones. In the early 1990s, when the cell phones came out, the mobile phones, sending a text message was only limited between the carriers. So if you were an AT&T user, you could only send it to the AT&T network. If you were, a Singtel user, you could only send it to a Singtel. If you were a BT user, only in British Telecom and so forth. Later on, they decided that this is ridiculous. And then this came up with a messaging layer so that interoperability between the cell phone, the various mobile companies world over, became very easy, and you could send a message from one network to the other without having to think anything through other than just the number. That's what interoperability is all about. Do we have the same interoperability in our payment systems today? The answer is no, we don't. There are various reasons for it, and some are political, but let me talk about some very simple examples so that you can understand why. I'm going to refer to my notes. So for example, PayPal UK to Bolito in Brazil. Can you do that? No. Japan Bank to Bcash in Bangladesh. Can you do that? No. A Kiwi account in Russia to M-Pesa in Kenya. No, we can't send money. Australian bank account to a European SEPA account. No, can't do it. Venmo USA to Paytm in India. Still can't do it. Easy Pesa Pakistan to Interact Canada. Can't do. Bank account in the USA to Tigo Money Wallet in Tanzania. Can't do it. You see the disparateness over here, that we are trying to send money across and we can't. You know, if I were to sum this up in an email, if money were to move, or rather if email were to move like money today, this is how it would look like. So let me give you an example. Let's say you were to send an email the same way as you send money today. This is how it would work. So first you have to decide to send an email. You call up your provider and imagine calling up Yahoo or Gmail for it and saying, hey, hi Gmail, this is Faisal. I would like to send an email to Hotmail. Do you do it? And do you know how you will be able to do it, or what the charges are, etc.? And the answer could be something like, yeah, send it to Yahoo first and then they will deliver it to Hotmail. Or send it to Yahoo and then they will deliver it to ABC Network and then they will deliver it to Hotmail. Imagine how ridiculous that would sound today if email operated in the same way. But money does exactly the same way. Not only is it like that, and let's assume that you are able to do it, etc. And you come over there and you give them a small message, let's say a small one paragraph, and they say, oh, stop, no. There's a minimum. You say, minimum? Yeah. We have a minimum. You have to have at least 5,000 words before you can send them across. 5,000? I don't have those kind of words. Well, I'm sorry, but there's a minimum you would take in order to transport those words. Anyways, you sit down, you make a 5,000 thing, and you send it across. You call up your friend, your family, your partner, whoever it is, your colleague, and you say, hey, did you get it? No, we didn't get it. And they call up their email provider. Did you get it? No, we haven't gotten anything. And you're chasing your providers back and forth for 2 days, trying to figure out where the email is. And guess what? On the third day, your friend over there on the other end, they say, hey, I got the email. They called me up. They said, yep, we've got your email. Okay, cool. Can I have it? No, you can't have it. Why? Well, we need you to come to our office and we need you to answer a couple of questions. Who is this email from? Why is he sending it to you? What's the purpose? Do you have any documentation? Do you have KYC documents on yourself and the other person? And then we will release the email to you. Let's assume you even do that. And the day when you finally get the email in your email box, you open it. Whoa, guess what? 4,825 words only. 3% has been deducted, or 3.5% has been deducted. Oh, that was the transport fee. Yeah, but you can't deduct 3% of my words or 3.5% of my words. 175 words were taken out from the 5,000 words that you typed and you received it. What if the most important line was taken out? Will you marry me? Imagine sending a proposal to someone and the last line, the most crucial line, will you marry me, is removed as fees. What if the total amount in a quotation in a proposal, the most important line, is removed as fees? What if the conditions that, you can do this, or yes, your holiday has been approved, yes, your loan has been approved, is removed as fees? Imagine, or just taking 175 words out of 5,000 words randomly out from here and there. Imagine how bad that entire context would look like. Well, that's how money moves today. We certainly don't appreciate this in the email world, but we are living with it in the world of payments and money today. And this is especially true, this interoperability issue is especially true when you talk about international payments or cross-border payments or distance payments. In many countries, interoperable systems are becoming very interoperable when it comes to local payment systems. They're not there quite yet. There's still a lot of work to be done, but they are slowly getting there. But on the international scale, today when we have 220 countries and territories, and we can send mail and text messages and voice and video and Zoom and Skype and what have you, but we can't send money to each other. The thing you and I wake up for every day to work, hopefully to make a paycheck and put some money in our bank, and yet we can't spend it the way we can. We can only spend it the way it's been taught us. Visa card, MasterCard, Swift Bank, maybe a few wallet systems, and that's it. That's how restrictive you are with money. So I hope going forward you can understand what interoperability means. Interoperability today is, I think, in many ways depriving us of the opportunities available in the commerce world that we live in today. So for the inter-wallet operability, let me give you an example. I have a couple of wallets here, right? So this wallet is Eurozone and it can only accept Euro and work with PayPal. This wallet is a multi-feature wallet. It can take yen, it can work with yen and Swift Bank, and can do dollar, bank, and PayPal payments only. This is a rupee wallet. This rupee wallet will work with local rupees in the local wallet in whatever country this may be, and that's all it can hold. This is a pound only wallet and can only work with the bank. So this is what disparate payment systems means. This person cannot send money to this person, cannot send money to this person, cannot send money to this person unless they have something common denominator. These two may be able to exchange it, then this guy may be able to exchange it with this guy, which may be able to exchange it with the last person. And you see the trail of how money movement is broken. That is how we live today. If these were 4 actual people and they came and they tried to exchange money electronically with whatever they had in their wallets, chances are they will not be able to do it. And this is exactly the kind of interoperability we're trying to solve. If these 4 wallets were your proverbial telephones, no matter what you had, a Samsung, a Huawei, an Android, let's say a Google Android or an Apple phone, you'd be able to exchange messages and cat videos and funny dog videos in a matter of seconds because the underlying apps and so forth, there's interoperability. You'll be able to exchange messages. On the phones, you can do it. With money and wallets, you can't. I hope that also gives you some food for thought as to how this problem can be solved. Ladies and gentlemen, we know for a fact our payment systems are broken. It is because with 1,900 plus payment systems in the world, in the 220 countries and territories, less than 1% are connected. Think about that. This is 2020. Less than 1% of the payment systems are connected. And if you include other value-added systems or stored value systems, things like the Starbucks, things like your McDonald's, things like your points and other systems, there are more than 10,000 plus such systems, and they don't connect, they don't give value, they're not able to exchange value very natively. So how do we fix it? How do we solve this problem? Well, solving any problem starts with understanding the problem. Today we talk about all these startups that are coming up. I see them on a daily basis. I talk to them, I view them, I look at them, I look at other cases that other consultants and companies are handling and the announcements in the press section and so forth. And I cannot help but think that they're doing the same thing. They're trying to stitch themselves into this fabric of the 1,900 plus payment systems, or in some cases the 10,000 plus payment stored value systems. And what they're doing is they're trying to solve a very minuscule problem in it. So how do we generally solve it? Well, I think it has to do something with a standard. Now, the whole problem with the standard is, whose standard is it? Is it the United States government standard? Is it the Russian government standard? Is it the Israeli government standard? Is it China, the India, UK, Europe? Whose standard is it? And how do you enforce sanctions in such a network? How do you enforce rules of law in such a network? How do you enforce who can transact and who cannot transact in such a network? So we have to go through a re-engineering of how we send money. The simplest answer is, well, Bitcoin already solved it. Yes, Bitcoin did solve it. In many cases, Bitcoin is exactly that. It's a standard. And this is why there's a lot of flack for it. I'm actually a very, very proponent of, cryptocurrencies. And I say, this is the right thing. Yes, we have to operate in the world we live in today, but I think cryptocurrencies will be the answer, will be the standard eventually. But the banking system is not going to let go of it, and more importantly, the political government system is not going to help solve this problem. There is no such issues with data sanctioning per se. SMS messages, if they are blocked by the United States government or the Russians or the Chinese or the Indians or the British, will not really affect commerce, right? But when you start blocking dollar trade, the euro trade, the won trade, the British pound trade, and so forth, then it does start affecting economies. When you say you can't travel through my rivers or my oceans, you can't go through my airspace, that affects it. Interoperable payment systems are pretty much the same thing. They affect the economic and political life that moves around in these systems. And I think because of that, we are not getting them solved any faster. But there is hope. The hope is you start stitching whatever disparate system you have to, let's say, something as common as the blockchain, using the Bitcoin network or the Ethereum network or what have you. And the more common denominators that you link it to, where government action or inaction or enforcement is limited by nature, then there's a very good chance that the fabric will grow and interoperability will work out. I certainly don't have the answer. Maybe there's someone out there who really does, who has that eureka moment, who has that E is equal to MC squared kind of a formula that will fix everything else. But I think in this day and age, we are more concerned about who can do business with who and how and where and why, under what circumstances, if you live in country A, and then if someone lives in country B and someone lives in country D and C and so forth. And we have this infighting amongst us that is preventing us from making this really operable system that we ought to have had many years ago. It is not an easy problem, like I said, to solve, but it's something I hope you will think about. There is plenty of opportunity. Before that system becomes 100% operable in the world, it has to become 2%. It has to become 3%. Remember the 1900 I talked about? It has to go from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and one step at a time, the problem will be solved. One milestone at a time. So I hope it gives you some, food for thought. Think about it. If you have a project that relates to, maybe doing something like this, interoperability, solving a payment problem, connecting and building up a network or making a network grow, and you would like to discuss it, I'll be happy to talk to you. There's a contact form in the section below. Fill it out and I'll be happy to talk to you. Till next time, Faisal Khan is signing off.